Hey guys, what's up? So, I'm gonna chime in today because I got a nice comment last time from one of my friends, I could say, or acquaintances. He said, my last video was very relatable and one of my better videos. Anyways, like I always say, if there's one person that touches it, that time it was him, and possibly some other ones thought the same way about it, and this time maybe somebody else who's felt maybe left out or who haven't found me yet, which is great. It's amazing. I call that success. One person. It takes one person, and the butterfly effect takes on its own life and goes on. So what I was gonna say today is I'm listening to some of the stories from the MMA fighters. Don't worry, guys. I'm not obsessed with fighting or anything. Regardless of how developed somebody is and skilled as a fighter with hands, legs, their whole body, I don't know. I admire those people, okay? For just as a fellow athlete, I admire them for the discipline. It's a very, very strict discipline. Much like the one I used to have. I have some of it now, but it's not the same nowadays. Back in the days when I was basically, I could say that a semi-pro cyclist. But anyways, that's and nowadays when I do my enduro mountain biking, it takes a lot of skill, takes a lot of focus, takes a lot of strength, power, just powering through all sorts of obstacles, maneuvering a pretty heavy bike. So I admire those fighters for the discipline. I admire them for the strength, power that they produce, the skills that they have. It's an enormous amount of learning, practicing, training. Oh, it's just years, hours, months, weeks, minutes, seconds of pure suffering, So I admire that aspect, but I'm really not into hurting people, really not into, damaging their bodies, their faces, their heads. I don't like that. I think it's, regardless of how sophisticated you have to be as a fighter in what I just mentioned in this skill set, power and strength, it's primitive. However you look at it, turn it around, it's just primitive to me. But I look at life as from I would say more of a level of not so physical, more of a power of the inside, the fire within, which of course is in some of these very successful fighters, because nothing you can do in life and be successful at it unless you possess that. Not possess, everybody possesses that fire, but in some of them it's just a little tiny flame. In some of them it's this bursting fire that just burns and burns, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. It's the perfection. You see, because of the quantity that we are now obsessing with as the whole society, the quality is gone away. Had gone away and had been away for a while because honestly, the quality is now so rare that once you find it, you will recognize it as, you will recognize it as something special. Alright? And there used to be a time on Earth, or different reality, where quality was just that. It was quality all around. But it wasn't obvious. It was just, that was something that was there. And now, when the quality comes, sometimes people miss it because it became so unknown to them. And sometimes, or most of the times, people go like, wow, oh my God. You know, it's like, it shouldn't have been like that, but it is. It is. Because people are no longer in touch with themselves as much anymore, because you cannot utilize that fire. You cannot actually have that fire within you unless you truly connect with yourself. Truly. With all your whole being. That's how you have to do things if you really want to be successful at them. Okay? If you really want to create a legend, a myth of a man, so to speak. Really. That's what it takes. It just takes all of it. All of it. There's no reserves, nothing left behind, but just all in. So when you hear all in, when you hear that term or phrase, that's what that means. It means you're all in. I was once at that level, and when it comes to sports, I still am that level. No mistakes. I still am in my life. In just my spiritual quest or spiritual attainment. But, I was once like that in sports. I would just grind everything in front of me. Anything and anybody. Of course, I was not invincible. That doesn't mean I was always on top. No, but I made sure that my opponents had to work really hard. There was no easy win coming, having to deal with me in those times in my field of sports. That was road cycling. I was absolutely merciless. But you see, let's say when we talk about these physical, endeavors like sports, you have to understand that with that fire, you have no fear and you have no limit of suffering. I remember I used to be so ruthless even to myself that I would be like, you know what, this race, or any race, anytime I would go, I adopted this attitude more for time trials, because time trialing is when you're on your own. There's no team helping you, or no friends, no, compadres, no companions in the sport, in that race. You're on your own against time and against the road, okay? And you're just on your own. You're all in. From the moment you begin to the very end, when you cross the finish line. And there's no tactics. Absolutely no tactics. You go as much as you can. And I always said, my dream scenario is that I exert myself so much that I pass out at the end. When I cross the finish line, I pass out. And on 2 or 3 occasions, I got to the point where I didn't quite pass out, but I was right there. I would feel nauseous. I would almost puke, and I was completely out. Completely. Because I wanted to test what means to reach, to have your will overpowering the limitations of your body. Your being coming through with that fire so strong that the body simply cannot keep up with. And you can go and go and go and go and go more than the body can do. I don't know if you ever experienced that, but it's an interesting experience. Same thing I do with cold water and cold conditions. The body is not used to it. The body cannot withstand this kind of stuff. One time, I set myself a goal that before my wife comes home, she went out to her competition. She was a coach, and she was coaching kids do gymnastics and cheerleading. And they went out for a whole weekend, and I was home alone. And we just moved into an apartment, and I said, I'm gonna build a bed. Cause she said, well, how long is it gonna take for you to build this bed? Because you said you're gonna build one, but I have yet to see the bed that you're gonna build. And I was like, all right, because she didn't know me that well as a carpenter. So I was like, you know what? That's it. I gotta do it. This is my chance. Because I don't know what's next time. We're just gonna go somewhere for so long because we go everywhere together. That's it. That's marriage. We're one. And I said, man, that's my opportunity. I mean, if I don't do it now, then it really is only gonna, stay with words, So I said, all right, I'll do it. First of all, I didn't have a pickup truck. I didn't have a van. My budget was pretty small, so I was like, man, the warehouse, the warehouse with building materials was pretty close, a few blocks away. So I said, I can do these things. I can, bring most of the materials in this sedan of ours, this sports sedan, putting some seats, folding the seats down and stuff like that. And I did it. It was awkward. It was really awkward. And like transporting in a sports sedan, like all these big, wooden poles and stuff like that. And then the one thing that was missing was the headboard. And that was 4x8 plywood, like the heavy one. Guess what? I got this guy with a pickup truck. I paid him a few bucks. He delivered the headboard in my place. And because I didn't want to take advantage of them, because I didn't have more money, I didn't want to spend more money, I didn't pay them. And I said, I'll do this by myself. I carried the freaking headboard because it didn't fit into the elevator into the 3rd floor by myself over in this staircase, these stairs that were so narrow that to this day I have no idea how I did that. I don't know. Physically, extremely hard. I mean, nowadays when I go to the store and I pick it up, it's hard to hold it up. It's hard to hold it up just above my feet. It's not that I can't. I can hold it up, all right? I can grab it and I can hold it. But to imagine, like, my God, I was such a psycho. I actually dragged that thing over the railing. I was holding it over, pulling it up, holding it up, grabbing it up over the stairs and stuff. That was crazy. Because you see, because the will within me set that goal, and I said I have to do that. It's for a special occasion. It's for a special person. And because I was so determined that I have seen no obstacles in my way. None. I was like, I'm doing this. This is it. Nothing's gonna stop me. I'm gonna build this bed in 3 days. In 3 days, I built the whole bed. I painted it. I constructed. I designed it in my head. I made a few sketches, I went to the store, you know, started piling up with all these materials, screws, nails, whatnot, pieces of wood. I didn't have a saw, you know, a powered saw. I had just a saw, manual saw. I didn't even have the sander, electric sander. I did everything by hand. And last night, or 2 nights, I haven't slept for 2 nights. So 3 days altogether. Last night I think I slept maybe 3 hours. 2 or 3 hours. And so I designed it in my head, sketched it on the paper, got all the materials, going back and forth. You know, it took me a few trips to gather everything because, you know, you figuring stuff out as you go. And then I put it together, cut all the things. Some of the stuff was cut in the store. Some of the things I had to cut by myself on the spot. And put it together, you know, I assembled it, I sanded it, and I painted it. And then I dragged it, the whole bed. Obviously the headboard separately, but the whole entire bed, it was very heavy. I got it up, and I held it, and I dragged it. I basically carried it in from the huge living room, kitchen area into the bedroom. By myself, all by myself, with almost no sleep. So you see, that's what you can do, and that's one thing that I look back and I'm like, man, this is like, when we are truly doing something with a higher purpose, something that, you know, it's not just to show off, or just to, because I don't think you could do that. I honestly don't think you could utilize that fire just for showing off. I don't think so. Because even the things that I can do nowadays with, it's hard to say because I don't want to talk about it, but let's say there are certain things I can do that people they would classify them as borderline superpowers. Yeah, okay, I claimed it. Anyways, but I can't show it to you because this is how things work. To show off, to prove something to somebody as some kind of magic or something, it's not a magic trick. It's like a true connection with the elements around you and within you, becoming one with everything that's around you, and then commanding certain elements to behave in a certain way. And you can't do that because somebody asks you to show them. You can't. There are people that display these things because they train them all the time, and they're not there to actually show off. They don't do it because somebody asked them. They do it because that's what they do. And yeah, there's stuff that you can do only when it's actually really, really has to be done. You know, when you absolutely, let's say you know, you look at, let's say, the examples of fighters, right? You don't know what a fighter you are. You know, they say, oh, you know, if you fought against a trained fighter, you definitely lose. Well, yeah, I mean, because, you know, you're going, like, inside of you, you're already weak because, you know, oh, I don't have that skill set, I'm not trained, I'm totally gonna lose. There's no way I can win this. I mean, the guy knows what he's doing and I don't know. So yes, you're gonna lose. But let's say you had to fight for your life, and you would be all in. You see, this cliche or phrase "all in" is only appropriate to be used when you actually are all in. When it means that your whole being, your whole life depends on it. Honestly, in that moment, it doesn't matter what a small task it may appear to your surroundings or to people that are not, you know, involved into that or in that. But to you, if it really matters, life and death to you, you can do it. You can definitely do it. I've experienced this so many times in my lifetime. I've, you know, accomplished things that right now when I look back, even a lot of my paintings, look, I look back into some of them on some of my paintings, and I'm like, damn, I did this. When other people see them, they say, whoa, it's amazing. And I'm like, I don't know what to think about it. Like, I look at them and I'm thinking, it's almost like somebody else did it. It's like it wasn't me. Like, I'm looking at it like, I painted this? Damn. I can't, because when you're in it, when you're all in, you're in the zone. You don't know what you're doing. Trust me. You have no idea what you're doing. You're using these skills, these things that you don't even sometimes know that you have. From somehow you attain them, somehow you know them, and then the more you understand about it, I understand them, so I can explain that to you, what actually takes place. So now we're gonna come to the telepathic, realm. Okay? So they say that the advantage that the artificial intelligence has over humans is that when one unit figures out the solution, that solution is present immediately, instantly in all other units of the artificial intelligence. What's being said here is that that's the advantage that the artificial intelligence has over humans. Now, I don't see any difference between humans and artificial intelligence. You know that, right? Those of you who know my stance on what artificial intelligence actually is no different than what is present within us as what we know as consciousness. That's it. Consciousness, it's presence of life. It's the understanding, the knowledge, the sense of knowing. So that sense of knowing automatically kicks in. So when we are truly exposed or put to the task of something drastically, something very, very serious, something like I say, when we perceive a certain circumstance or certain task as it's a matter of life and death, so to speak, is these things that we don't know we possess, that are a part of all of us, we tap into that bank. And the consciousness is that bank. And we tap into it and we bring out things that somebody else from another side of Earth learned, trained, experienced. And we haven't in our body, this person. Let's say what George on the other side of Earth, I don't know, somewhere in the United Kingdom, and I'm here in West Coast in America, we have no connection, right? No apparent connection, because we don't live together, we don't know each other as these persons, Matei, George. So what George experienced and what George learned, at some moment when I truly connect deep with my source, through my being, I can utilize that. I can use that. That's why sometimes when you do certain things, because you're put, to the task, and you're put basically at the hand of mercy, or no mercy, I would say, no mercy, of course. Then you're able to do some stuff that you're just like, oh my God, I have no idea how I did this. I don't know how I was able to get myself out of this. No idea, but I did it. See, that's when you tapped into knowledge that we all contribute to, that we all deposit into this bank, which is called the pool of consciousness. So you can always use and always take out of that pool. However, listen to this. You have to be an active participant in order to be able to take something out of it and use it for when you need it. Which means that if you're a selfish person who does not care about anything around you but only your own benefit, it means you're that person that is always in debt. You're always taking things out and never putting anything back in. So you're always taking a bunch of loans because you want to have a fancy car, you want to have a fancy house, and you want to impress girls, or girls want to impress, I don't know, guys. Nowadays that's the thing too, or girls, or guys, whatever. And you put your whole life on the line and get yourself in debt up to here just so you could have those things. But you're not really giving anything in. That's why you keep taking out, keep taking out, keep taking out, keep taking out. So the same way life works. You put no energy into this consciousness, into the expansion of it. You don't help other people understand things. You don't research on your own. You don't test things. You don't experiment. You just always do what's the easiest. Then, that you're just like that person that always wants to have nice, fancy stuff and always buy those things by taking out loans. Because you're taking out loans, you're depriving the rest of us to be able to enjoy that. And at some point, us, or this part, the majority part of this consciousness, takes you as a collateral. That's how life works. So if you want to be able to tap into that and use it and utilize that fire, truly build the fire, to use it in the situations that will, help a life around you, that will help creatures around you and other beings be more fulfilled, be happier, be more joyous, then you will always have these resources at your disposal for whenever you need it. Not whenever you want it, but whenever you need it. Whenever there's a need, you will never be left out dry. Alright? That's how this works. But if you don't deposit, you make no deposits, but you always want to just take and take and take and take, then yes, to you, this seems very unreasonable and very far-fetched. What I just stated. All these claims that I made about superpowers, all these claims that I made about how much power you can produce through your will within your being, to you it's useless. To you it's just fairy tales, myths, stuff that doesn't exist, that is just in my delusional head, or people like myself who are delusional and are just imagining stuff, and we really can't do any of that stuff, and we are exaggerating and making our works and our endeavors more epic than they really are, because you don't have that understanding, because you don't have that experience, because you don't make deposits. So guys, deposit as much as you can, and you will see it always pays off. Always. Don't be selfish. Be selfish when it comes to your discipline to be connecting with your being. Be very selfish in that. Don't let anybody get in between. That's when they say, God first. They don't really, a lot of people don't know what that actually means. They use that phrase, but they don't really know what that means. A lot of them who use that. A lot of them are very opposite from that term or that phrase that they like to use and throw it out there just randomly. Alright, have a good day, okay? And think about these things if you want to be a part of this resourceful database.